Welcome to the MSJC Internet Authoring Videocast.
In this video, you'll be learning how to complete Guided Practice 10A. Here we are in NetBeans. I've created a new class, GP10A Demo. You'll notice that I imported the JavaX swing package. The new one here would be the java.awt.event.asterisk, so that gives us all the class that make up the event library, and then also the java.awt.asterisk. So the only new one here is the event awt.event.asterisk. So we need the AWT and the swing for the GUI, and then .event.asterisk for the event listeners. Now, just like we've done in our previous demos, we need to go ahead and extend this to be a JFrame, so our class now becomes a JFrame. It is a JFrame. And now that we're going to be using event listeners, we also need to implement, in this case, the ActionListener interface. We're going to be implementing buttons here in order for us then to be able to capture the events that buttons will trigger. We need to implement the ActionListener interface. So that all goes in our class header. Now we'll go ahead and add a content pane, which will be of type container. We'll name it content, and that'll be equal to this .get content pane. Now you notice that we've got a red squiggly underneath of our class name, and that occurred once I added this implements ActionListener here. So I want to show you a trick, because remember, with the action listeners or any of the event classes, what we need to do is implement, or the event interfaces, we need to implement the methods that come along with those interfaces. So you can do that very easily in NetBeans if you just click on that light bulb over there on the left and then choose from the menu that pops up, Implement All Abstract Methods. And so in the case of the action listener, we just need to get the action performed method. And you'll see that it accepts an argument then of action event, and it'll assign it to the letter E, or to the name E. And then we can get rid of what's in here, because we're going to override this anyway and add our own tasks, our own statements. And then I'll just go ahead and I'll move my main down here. So let's, after our container, go ahead and create now our constructor method for our class, which will be GP10A demo. And then we'll just put in all the setup steps that you've already seen in the previous guided practice videos. We'll set a layout. To a new flow layout. And then we want to set visible to true. Set the size. The title. And the set default close operation. Then down here in our main, let's just go ahead and create an instance of our class. Now we're ready to add some JButtons here. So we'll go back up underneath of container here, and we'll add our first JButton. We'll call that button green. So it'll be equal to a new JButton with the text green on it. Then we'll create a second JButton. We'll call that one button blue. And that'll have blue as the text on it. So now that we've created the buttons, let's go ahead and add them into our container named content. And we'll use border layout south for both of them. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. And there you can see is our JFrame, and inside of the content pane we've got two buttons, green and blue. I didn't capitalize green. Let's go back and fix that. Let's close this, run it again. Okay, so we're off to a good start. So we added, well, first we created two buttons, then we added each of those buttons to our content pane. Now we want to add an action listener to each button. And we just use this to represent the class that we're in, so that way we'll be able to capture the event and process it in the action perform method down below. So now that we have an action listener attached to each of our buttons, we can go ahead down here in our action performed method, our override of the action listener interface, and write the code of how we want to handle the event. So remember, it's of type action event. We're using E as the name that we're referencing, that's going to actually contain all the information about the event when it's fired off. So when somebody clicks on a button, which button was fired off, the name of the button will be passed to E. An easy way to handle this is just create another instance of a JButton, and we'll just make it generic here, button. And then what we're going to pass to it is the getSource method of our event, but we do have to cast it as a JButton. So that'll cast it as a JButton. Then we take E, which remember that's the variable being passed into our method here. That is the event itself that contains the information about the event. And then we use the getSource method to identify which button it is. So the JButton, now named button, will contain the name of the button that was pressed. And we just do a simple if check. Check to see if button compares to the name of our button, button green. And if it does, we'll set our background of our content pane to color green. And we only have 2 buttons at this point, so we can just use else, meaning it wasn't the green button that was clicked, it was the blue button that was clicked. And in that case, set the background color to blue. So let's go ahead and run it. Click on the green button, background's green. Click on the blue button, background turns blue. So for the guided practice, I want you to go ahead and build everything that you've seen here so far. But then to test your mettle a little bit, let's see if you can add another button. Name it button red. And when the user clicks on that button, have it change the background color to red. And I will post a solution, so if you have some problems working it out, you'll be able to check that and compare it to your code. Until next time, happy coding. If you liked this video, please click the like button and leave us a comment down below. I also would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when new videos are posted.